Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. In today's video, we're back over on the test server on Gwendolyn's account because, you know, I'm not up to the Whale Inn yet. So we're going to be taking a look at the Whale Inn and more specifically the furniture and which heroes you want to put on the wish list for the furniture, just as a very preliminary guide so that once it does drop on the global server, you have a rough idea of what you might want to put on. So let's get into it. Okay, first things first, daily giveaway. Let's do a single pull. Sorry, Gwendolyn, for stealing a pull, but there we go, no giveaway. All right, the Whale Inn, the furniture, the workshop. Now, this is, like I said, a very, very preliminary list. I'm going to put two things up on the screen there. This is a list made by Shazam. Now, Shazam is the dude that let me do the Flora Stargaze session as soon as she came out. He's a very, very endgame player. This list that he put together is from his own opinions and reading all the abilities, but he's a very experienced player, very endgame. This is focused more on Challenges Arena, so take it with a grain of salt. But in general, good heroes are good heroes. There's also a lot of Celestial Hype Genes on this list. If you don't have them or don't intend to build them anytime soon, you're probably not going to put them on your list. That's just the first thing to get out of the way. And obviously, a lot of this hasn't been tested, so it's just preliminary, give you guys a feel of what you might want to put on your wish list. Another thing I want to say is don't stress if you have a hero that's not on this list or any other list, hasn't been tested yet. If it's a hero you just want to do anyway, do it. The game's about having fun. If you got something you want to try, I know I'm 100% like she does sneak onto this list at the bottom, but I'm definitely putting Antandra on the list on one of mine because I want to get her and I want to test that stuff. But yeah, very, very preliminary list. Another thing to consider is heroes that are good now before these new abilities are still going to be good, and that's where a lot of these heroes fall into it. They may not have the best furniture ability, but something like Rowan, he's just a top tier unit. He's up there with the Celestials and Hypergenes in my opinion. So he's never going to like get dropped off your top 3 teams. Like he's probably never going to get dropped off your best team. And for that reason, why not give him added effects that are going to help out? So on the screen is a bit of a list that I put together just out of his list, just taking out Celestials and Hypergenes, just to give you an idea. But you can have a look at that list. You've got the top tier, the second tier, heroes with potentially game-changing abilities. That means we'll have to see how they plays, and then other heroes of note. And those other heroes of note are pretty much the same thing, where it's going to take testing to know how it's going to work and see how it actually plays out. But in general, it's that same rule of thumb that good heroes are good heroes, and hopefully this update will actually grant some newer heroes or some older heroes a new chance in the limelight. So that's what we're looking at. That's a basic thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'll leave that list up on the side, but I want to go through and actually have a look at these heroes that he's mentioned. Some of them I went through in my previous video, but I just want to get into it. We'll leave the Celestials and Hypergenes out. Link in the description if you want to know how to get onto the test server and look at all this for yourself. But I just figure Celestials and Hypergenes, it's only going to be a small pool of people that are going to be using all those. So we'll look at the basic ones and have a bit of a chat about them. So the first one on that list is going to be Ferael. So we look at his exclusive furniture ability. And this one is one of those ones where the wording on his 9 of 9 ability is a bit hazy, but it sounds like it could be completely broken. Ferael's normal attacks deal 12% more damage and cause targets to lose 12 haste points for 1 second. For every one spirit that is haunting them for a duration of 1.5 seconds. This next one, I don't know. Enemies haunted by 3 spirits are stunned and no longer have their haste reduced by normal attacks. Does that mean as long as there's 3 spirits on them, they're just permanently stunned? Because I feel like enemies always have at least 2 or 3 spirits on them. I feel like it's quite common to stack spirits with Ferael. So that one, he's just an amazing hero. So added damage, added haste reduction on that level 3 on the 3 of 3. Like, that's cool. But if they're just being stunned the whole game because he's got spirits out there, you put him behind an Arthur and give him some haste and get those spirits out there faster, and it's just game over. So we'll have to see how that one plays, but that definitely does look pretty broken and an amazing hero to get anyway, and one that you can use at like Mythic anyway. You don't need him ascended to get, like I'm talking earlier in the game, but you don't need him ascended to get good use out of him. Yes, it's nice for the damage, but he has really good CC anyway. So next one we're going to look at is going to be Lyca. Furniture. Okay. Targets the nearest two enemies with rapid arrows the first time the ability is used. Cool beans. And then this one. Every normal attack targets the nearest two enemies simultaneously. The reason this is cool is because with her passive with the armor break, she's now going to be instantly putting that on two enemies instead of one. I think that's really, really nice, especially for PvP. Might not be as huge in PvE for Lyca, but Lyca is just one of those heroes that's just good in a lot of situations. Just the haste from her can get you out of a pickle all the time. So giving her that extra target on her auto attacks is going to be really nice if we can get it. Now we are looking at Eironn. Let's take a look what his says. The ability Sylvan Oath is triggered when Eironn's health is above 60%. The damage dealt by Sylvan Oath when triggered is increased by 15%. This is his basically his ignoring defense and stuff like that. Now, when he put this on the list, Shazam did say that it has a really good synergy with the Zolrath ability, but once again, in general, for just general normal players who don't have Zolrath built and maxed out, Eironn's just a really fantastic hero, and that's going to benefit him, which if he's your main damage dealer, it's going to benefit your whole team, so why not give it to him? Now we're taking a look at Tasi. Tassi's one, I did touch on it in my other video, but we had to go through it again because this looks like Tasi could be completely busted. If Tasi is attacked within 1.5 seconds of using her teleportation, the ability will be instantly triggered again. Cooldown for the ability teleportation is reduced by 1 second. I mean, either way, she's teleporting more often. She teleports every 1.5 seconds. It very, very well could be quite broken. Next up, Rowan. Let's take a look at him. So, while using when using the health potions from the ability Health Supplies, allied heroes will additionally regenerate 10% of their max health per second over. This is okay. This is a typo. I believe it's supposed to be 1% of their max health per second over 10 seconds. The ability cannot be stacked. And this one, I think this is supposed to be, if it's in the same typo as the other one, I feel like it's supposed to be 1.2% over 15 seconds or 1.5% over. Yeah, it's 1.2% over 15 seconds is what it's supposed to be. So it's just basically added healing for Rowan, which sometimes you need more healing. So when he's already healing them anyway, and it's just adding a hot onto it, heal over time, why not? Like I said, Rowan's just amazing. Anyway, he's never coming off a team because he's that fantastic. So why not give him a go? Now, my girl Gwyneth, I was surprised to see her on this list. I didn't think it was crazy. Gwyneth's first normal attack triggers the abilities Flame Arrow and Lightning Arrow simultaneously. The damage for this attack is also increased by 15%. Now, pretty much to me, I think this is because he's looking in a PvP sense, whereas I think in PvE sense a bit more, where you can just keep retrying the stage until you get the Flaming and Lightning Arrow proc. So really all you're getting is a 15% damage increase from that one in a PvE sense, because you can just keep restarting that battle. The level 9 one, Flaming Arrow and Lightning Arrow are triggered following the death of any non-summoned enemy. The damage for this attack is increased by 15%. Once again, it doesn't seem crazy. I mean, if it was any enemy and it was like summoned enemies as well, that'd be pretty sweet. But once again, in PvE, this is just an RNG game, but I can see how it's critical in PvP. So for me, on my Gwyneth account, I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to completely go for this yet. I probably will just because it's Gwyneth, but it's not the most amazing in my opinion. But like I said, in PvP, it's definitely going to be nice. Moving on from that, we're looking at Nemora. I'm just enjoying looking at these skills, to be honest, guys. I just like the theory crafting behind it, and I like seeing other people's opinions on them. So when Nemora's health falls below 60% for the first time, she will use her Life Force ability on herself. That's her little heal. The first time an enemy gets close to Nemora, she activates the effects of her Beguile ability against all enemies. So when we look at Beguile, I think is it this one? Yeah. Nemora deals 90% damage to a random enemy target that is standing within her attack range and causes them to become entranced for 6 seconds. I mean, come on. Like, come on. Like, that is busted. The first time an enemy gets close to Nemora, she activates the effects of her Deluge ability against all nearby enemies. Honestly, I'm just thinking her with an Eironn. Eironn drags them in. They end up getting close. They're all mind controlled. It's broken. The game's destroyed. I'm getting excited about this. So, I think that could be broken. I just feel like if depending on the range, yeah, it could be nuts. Yeah, I realize I just can't read. It's beguile. Did I say Beluge? I don't know. Jeez, English not my strong suit. Let's just leave it at that. But oh man, it's like the mind control and all those guys. Like, that one still gets me good. Okay, Nara is one that we looked at in my other one as well. We'll quickly just glance over it. Why not? It's basically that enemies become terrified after she executes someone, and her execute gets massive damage. So it's basically her execute becomes an absolute lethal weapon, and it's going to kill anything. And then all the enemies get scared and run away when she does it, because she's a crazy lady. She's a crazy lady. Okay, let's go in here. Exclusive furniture. Rosaline's the next one we'll look at, and we spoke about this one as well. If her teacups are just dealing all the damage and stunning everyone every 0.75 seconds, she's broken as well. But we'll have to see how that goes. Like, Rosaline seems nuts. Ukyo, let's go check him out. Maybe it might be the last chance for some people to buy him if they were thinking about it. I don't know. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with this guy. Ukyo's attack rating is increased by 6% each time he deals damage to an enemy. This ability can be stacked up to 6 times if an enemy dodges, mitigates. We talked about this before. Basically, as long as he keeps hitting the enemy, he's going to keep getting more attack. And he stacks up to 15 times, so he can gain a 90% attack increase, which I feel like for bosses he's going to be crazy as well. But for PvP, if he can get that off, he's looking pretty nice. And he's already, PvP is like his decent area at the moment, so it's only going to make him better in that as well. Moving on to Kaz. Now, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people pumped about Kaz, because I know there's some Kaz user out there, and they hate it when I get when I don't give Kaz love. But enemies that are dealt damage, poison enemies have their accuracy reduced by 60 points and lose 70% worth of Kaz's attack rating value as health every second over the duration of 4 seconds. The ability cannot be stacked. Enemies have their energy recovery rates reduced by 50% while poisoned. Also affects the ability modify Also affects abilities that modify energy recovery rates. So this, for me, like, yes, this is good for a single enemy. It's probably really nice to put up against a Lucius or something like that, so you can stop his recovery. Like, the energy recovery, it's nice. If Kaz would be broken, this would be amazing if she had a nice AoE attack. But she's so single target focused that unfortunately you're only going to get this on one enemy. So it'll be niche situations, in my opinion, where that works. But still, to all the Kaz lovers out there, Kaz is getting something. Could be decent. Next one. Let's take a look at Anoki. Anoki uses Horn of War ability again 15 seconds after the initial use. That's the one where he gets the shield. Horn of War can be used up to 2 times per battle each time the ability is used. The shield that it generates will become 50% weaker than the previous one. And then Anoki uses his Horn of War ability again 15 seconds after its initial use. It can be used 3 times per battle each time it's used. Basically, it gets 2 and then 3 uses. This one is, I think this one's a typo. It says each time the ability is used, the shield that generates will become 70% weaker. To me, that sounds weaker than this. Obviously, the second time is going to be 50% weaker here, but here it seems like the second time is going to be 70% weaker. I'm assuming that the initial one is full strength, the second one is 50% strength of the first one, and then the third one is going to be like 30% of the strength. Either that, or it's like the first one is 100, then the second one becomes 70, and then the third one becomes 70% of that. It's really hard to tell with the wording on it, but he gets more shields is the basic gist behind that. Now, Gorvo is a hero that I love. Looking forward to seeing some use with this guy. I feel like, you know, he's got the synergy with Eironn, so hopefully he can get some stuff done. Uses the ability Shell Shock. Using the ability Shell Shock grants Gorvo a shield that is able to mitigate damage equal to 24% of his max health for 3.5 seconds. Shield duration increased to 8 seconds. The reason this is nice is because of his signature item. Increases the efficiency of shield effects. And then this one, if the shield created by the ability Shell Shield is not broken within a certain period of time, the remaining shield value is converted to energy. When in a, okay, this is the one, level 30. When in a shielded state, Gorvo will recover 5% of his max health every second. So it's basically an extra shield for him, which means he's going to be shielded a lot. So he's got his obviously his shield when he ults, his shield when he walks into the battle, and now a shield tied into Shell Shock. And he's pretty tanky, and it's 24% of his health. So hopefully that means he's going to get really good and have a lot of healing. So it just gives him a lot more sustain, basically, because he gets an extra passive shield on top of using his ultimate and getting a shield. So that is pretty cool. Moving on to Estrilda, man. My assumption in my first video, man, he's got all different heroes to me than what I covered. But, you know, that's because I'm a noob and Shazam's awesome at this game. But after the first 18 seconds of battle, if all allies are still alive, all non-summoned allies will have their attack ratings increased by 10% and defense rating increased by 20% until the end of the battle. Ability may be activated after 12 seconds of battle. So this is going to be really nice for bosses, I'm assuming, and stuff like that as well, just because you get a flat increase. And Estrilda was already one of those good supports to use in some bosses anyway. So it might creep her up in the meta of just all the boss fights instead of just being involved in the demonic Nemora one, which is her main spot at the moment. So have to wait and see. Moving on from her, we have Thane. Now, Thane. I give Thane a lot of heat. So let's see what he's... I honestly, this is how sad it is. I think when I initially looked through the abilities, I didn't even check Thane out because I was just like, it's Thane. Okay, so Eviscerate makes me think of rogues in WoW, but Eviscerate is going to be his ultimate. Thane attacks his enemies at random 7 times, dealing 80% damage per attack. Thane cannot receive damage while in this state. Number of attacks are increased once for every critical strike landed until the amount of attacks reach a total of 8. And can become 9. I just thought we'd go through that because I figure a lot of people don't know Thane's abilities, myself included. Thane's ability Eviscerate has a 100% chance to hit an enemy the first time it is used against them. Okay, it can't be dodged. Okay, cool. And deals additional damage to the target equal to 18% of their max health. The additional damage dealt by this ability cannot exceed 360% of their own attack rating. That's not bad. Extra flat damage. Pretty cool. Default number of attacks of the ability Eviscerate is raised by 6 attacks. I'm pretty sure that campaign heroes don't get this stuff because, man, that would make me hate Thane even more. But, I mean, it sounds nice. It's just the fact that Thane is still one of those guys that just has damage and that's it. So it just depends if his pure damage can be enough to... It would have to be huge damage he's dealing, is all I'm trying to say, to get him to go. Alright, let's check out the big man, the king, Thoran. Just cheesing it up over here in the Graveborn. Let's take a look at his one. Enemies that are stunned by the ability Resurrection are drawn... Ooh... When it says stunned, I think it means feared. Resurrection. Enemies are terrified. So I'm pretty sure it's when it says stunned, I'm pretty sure it's referring to the fear, which is cool. So they get drawn into him. So Thoran Cheese happy. Thoran immediately recovers 150 energy points after he's brought back by his resurrection ability. That could be handy too in the Thoran Cheese. So I feel like Thoran Cheese has got a little bit more effective. Let's check out the Safiya. Exclusive furniture. Duration of spectral disruption. Oh yeah, I've looked at this one. So she increases the duration of her pyramid, and then while the pyramid's up, her ult is pretty much twice as quick to cast. 40% quicker. So she's going to get some big bombs off. Going to be dropping some big bombs. We did already look at Odin as well, where it could be good, but I'm not sure. Just because it requires a lot of ults from the enemy team. Bosses don't ult when they're up against Odin, and enemy teams, if they use 12 ults, you're normally dead anyway. That's just behind him. Baden, once again, he basically gets infinite cheat deaths as long as he has phantoms on the field, which is kind of cool. We'll have to see if that brings him into effectiveness. PvP, he might have a place now. Let's take a look at Thorn, who I hadn't really looked at. So let's take a look at Thorn. Thorn, I still haven't done too much research on him in general, let alone with this. Thorn is granted a shield that is able to mitigate damage equal to 18% of his max health, which lasts for 5 seconds every time Thorn loses 40% of his health. Okay. Effective makes him, 18 is basically half of 40. So effectively makes him 50% tankier in my broad way of looking at it. Thorn is granted a shield that is able to mitigate damage equal to 28% of his max health, which lasts for 10 seconds. Okay, so it makes him a lot tankier. Basically, if he loses health, he gains the shield, which shield is effective health unless he gets purged. So it gives him a lot of effective health in gameplay. So that's kind of cool. Makes him really, really, really tanky. Khasos, my man. Let's check him out. That's Scream, my boy. Looking for my man. There he is. Exclusive furniture. What do you got? Each living frontline ally increases Khasos' crit amplification by 25 points when he is positioned in the backline. Each living backline enemy reduces the damage Khasos receives by 22% when he is in the frontline. So I think we're basically looking at the backline here. Crit amplification. It'll depend how much the new stats scale in the general gameplay, but I can see why he's put this guy on the list, because it's just basically he's going to deal truckloads of damage, and if he does lots of catches and throws of his axes, he's going to get a lot of damage in. So we'll have to see how Khasos goes with that. Antandra, obviously I'm going to cover her in her own video when she drops and I get her to there, because I just think she's going to be amazing. This is the one I've got pinned for my top choice. So I went through it in detail in the last video. I don't want to bore you guys with it again. She's going to get her own video in the future anyway, because I reckon she looks sick. Isabella. Let's take a look. Void Barrage is used as Isabella's normal attack. Damage by Void Barrage is increased by 15%. I mean, I honestly thought that Void Barrage already did replace her normal attack. Is that the way it used to be and it changed? Someone let me know in the comments. I've never been a big Isabella user, but I always thought that Void Barrage always became her auto attack. But obviously I was wrong. Who knows? Anyway, if it wasn't, then that's just a buff straight up anyway. And then we have Izold. So let's check out Izold as the last one on this list. Izold's attack rating increased by 1%, and we did go through this in the last video. And his attack frequency increased by 3% until the end of the battle. Every time he loses 1%. Yeah. And then once he loses, once he stacks it, he gets the hypodermic healing, which is a really nice heal. Yeah, I really do like the Izold one as well. I mean, I've got him ascended on the Celestial Hypergene account, and maybe I have to try and go for him. I don't know, I'm probably going to go for my Celestials and Hypergenes instead. But anyway, that's everything on the list that isn't a Celestial Hypergene. Like I said, get on the test server and have a look at it if you want. It's a fun time in the game when it's not in it yet, and we can just speculate on stuff. So hopefully from that, you guys have a nice idea of what you want to put on your wish list for the furniture. It's a cool feature. Let me know if there's any other heroes, once again, that you guys are really keen for. But that is going to be it for this one. Once again, thanks to Shazam for that list he put together. Does make some really good information. So thanks, dude. Really appreciate it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.